Welcome to Hold My Cutter. We're coming your way here at Burned by Rocky Patel, just a few blocks down from PNC Park on the North Shore. Greg Brown, Michael McKenry, and as always, our special guest decides on what our smoke of the week is, and this one is the San Andreas, the Rocky Patel, and it is a doozy, son. Dark Mexican San Andreas Maduro wrapper, finally aged for no less than 11 years. The Rocky Patel Vintage 2006 San Andreas, another addition to the vintage line, one of the finest collections of premium cigars on the market, created in Rocky's Nicaraguan cigar factory. And Fort usually nicknames these cigars. Do you have one in mind?
I do. So 06 was my draft, so this was built in 06. Drafted number 1, just like Lou Coachaver. So this is the Hoach.
This is the Hoach.
The Hoach, yeah. And Sue, we should maybe clarify how this was found.
Please.
Right? The San Andreas fault shakes you to the bones, right? So how he gets the tobacco, Rocky Patel. I don't know if you know, Don Kelly, Rocky Patel.
The Don.
Good buddies. He's the Don, went down in the fault when they were playing in L.A. Not only did they play well out there, he went and got us tobacco to make this cigar.
All true, Don Kelly?
All true. Do you like it?
I love it. I love
Incredible,
it.
right?
Thanks for this selection. It was risky?
It was risky, yeah.
You just did make it out
I
of
don't know.
there.
The fault got shaky when he went down there. It's like Chuck Norris. You know what I mean? The Don.
The Don with this is a beauty, San Andreas. Don Kelly, who some consider, I consider you a Yinzer. My broadcast partner, John Wehner, does not. We call John the judge. He makes the decisions.
The judge.
Judge John. He makes the decisions on who's a Yinzer because he's a carrot guy, and he thinks that anybody outside Pittsburgh proper can't call himself
What is
or herself
Pittsburgh
a Yinzer.
proper? First off, do you know that?
I don't, but I mean, I'm kind of struggling with this judge nickname for
Oh, yeah,
Wehner.
Judge John. Oh, yeah, he judges everybody.
He's also an
Everybody.
executioner, but we don't talk
Really?
about that side
Oh,
of it.
yeah.
Well, we need to get Rock in here, and we need to talk about true Yinzers, because there's a lot of people that take offense to that.
Including you.
Yeah, I do.
Yeah.
I do. You're right.
You know that you don't have the dialect. You don't have the Yinzer. You never call like a, I don't know, what they,
Hey,
still mill.
you know, Brownie,
Oh, you
we
can
go
do
up
it.
Fairmount, Washington
Get downtown.
after that.
You can do the downtown.
Yeah, we got it in there.
You've just cleaned it up since you become a big league coach. Because you, that's one thing about Wehner. You should watch his old games when he first started.
I would
It's
love it.
hilarious.
I bet.
Because he had some really Yinzer.
It still comes out when he gets like a little fiery in there.
Mm-hmm. It
comes
does come
out.
out. Yeah.
Yeah. It's like everything in his soul just comes out of him.
Donnie, we had him in here earlier for Hold My Cutter, and he had a few coffees. And how about the coffee?
The coffee's great.
Served
Yeah.
piping hot
Piping
here.
hot.
Piping hot.
Or iced coffee is what we've got going today.
Yeah. We like the iced coffee.
Donnie Keller, our guest. What's been now 6 seasons coming up on a Pirate coach. Can you believe how fast it is going?
Seasons?
6.
Wow.
It's crazy, isn't it?
What's it
Crazy.
like for a Yinzer to be back wearing a Pirates uniform? Maybe take us back to when you got the call that you were going to be. We'll get to your playing days, but what was it like to come kind of full circle and become a coach now for the Pittsburgh Pirates?
I can just tell you from my standpoint, walking out at night after games, it's unbelievable. It's so surreal leaving the dugout. I walk through the field every
You
night.
still feel that way, even
I
now,
still do.
when you walk through? Oh, that's great.
Nobody's in the stadium. The city is lit up. It's the most beautiful ballpark
Amen.
in America. And
Amen.
to walk out by myself, sometimes my boys are with me, to get that experience as a Yinzer, to be with the Pirates and be here since 2020, and to get that call in 2019, December of 19, that they offered me the job to come back as the bench coach. Just an awesome moment as a Pittsburgher to be able to come back and be here.
Do you ever? I do this every now and then. I haven't done it in probably about a year or so. Just game's over. We obviously do the post game now in the studio, but I used to sit and kind of watch them pick up. Used to they pick up at night. Now they pick up in the morning. But like I just sit there and kind of like just let life calm down. It's such an incredible, like surreal place, especially with the lights on, like you said. Do you ever just kind of go sit out in the stands or sit in the dugout for a little while after the game?
It is. I haven't just sat there, but just walking and taking my time, walking out, and there's only certain lights on in the stadium.
This is once the grounds crew is wrapped up, because grounds crew takes a good half hour, 45, an hour to make it pristine once again.
That's it. And once they're done, they kill the lights. There's only like one light on each light tower that's giving
It's almost
enough
a little
light.
heavenly.
It is.
Yeah.
And you see the city, and it's calm, and it's really cool feeling.
Baseball in your blood, huh?
It
From
is.
day one? Do you
From
remember
young age.
what was it? Why baseball?
I don't know. My dad loved the game. He got me into it and just, took to it, loved it. The ups, the downs, as we all know. There's a lot of failure in it, but learning through that, continuing to grow and get better, and just always enjoyed the game of baseball.
Your folks both from Pittsburgh?
From Pittsburgh, born in Butler.
Okay, that's Yinzer stuff.
Yeah.
Still Yinzer territory.
We got to ask Rock, How far does that go?
That's right.
But,
surrounding counties.
Yeah. Going out there from Butler, moved to Mount Lebanon when I was 3. So
what did they do for a living?
My dad was a banker. My mom was a homemaker. And like I said, Mount Lebanon when I was 3, and have lived in Pittsburgh ever since.
And you had the big growth spurt, didn't you?
I did. So as a junior,
this one hurt me to the core a little.
Junior in high school,
you had a little bit of a growth spurt.
Just listen.
You did.
Yeah. At 11. And then it stopped.
Dude, yeah. So I didn't start growing really till I was a junior. I was 5'8", 5'9" as a junior in high school.
And now?
Now I'm 6'4". I grew late. And here's the thing that I'll tell you this story. And I was telling Alex Avila in Detroit the one year, when I was a junior in high school, I would play second base. We had a guy named Josh Wilson, he was
okay.
He was all right.
Yeah,
pretty good player
good,
himself.
Yeah.
Best high school
guy.
player that I had ever seen myself play. And we had a senior shortstop, Mike Nemeth, who ended up, I believe he went to Colgate. He was a senior shortstop. Josh would play second. When Josh would pitch, I would play second base. Well, Josh is pitching. You're not going to DH for Josh. So here I am as a junior.
No.
They would DH for me,
Oh.
and I would only play second base. So I'm telling Alex Avila the story in Detroit. Leland comes walking by, and he goes, "Oh, that doesn't sound like a bad effing idea. You think I could get away with that?"
So good.
Oh, that's classic.
Yeah, so
oh,
good.
my gosh.
Yeah.
So you end up Mount Lebanon High School, and you ended up starring there and then going to Point Park, fellow Pioneer. You're in the Point Park Hall of Fame. Your numbers at Point Park were insane.
But,
go ahead. Sorry.
So you're a junior. You're 5'9". How much you grow between your junior and senior? Is that when you had that spurt?
6'1".
So did you just become like the guy who was DH for to kind of legendary pretty quickly?
No.
Or did it take some time to get all this to go?
It really
work
didn't
together?
happen until I was at Point Park that I really developed and got better. But my senior year, I started off hitting 9th and worked my way up. And by the end of the year, I was hitting 4th.
Yeah, I tell kids all the time, wait for it.
Yeah, it's going to come.
If you grow late, you're going to surprise everybody, but your growth will continue. Where I was 12 throwing 86. When I was 18, I was throwing 86. It's a big difference.
Yeah.
So that's awesome.
Speaking of, Ed McCloskey, your coach?
Yeah.
I mean, talking about legend, right?
Legend.
At Mount Lebanon?
Yeah.
And now he's like an
unbelievable.
assistant for his
For his
son.
son.
Yeah.
Well, that's working out.
What makes a guy like Ed McCloskey so good? I think he's like 85 or so years old now.
He
He's
is.
his
And he's still
assistant
rolling?
for his son, Matt. Now he's assistant on the team.
That's incredible.
Yeah.
Mrs. McCloskey was my 3rd grade teacher.
Oh, my gosh.
So I had her in 3rd grade, and then Ed as a coach.
Was that a recruiting violation of some sort?
Probably.
Maybe? Yeah.
Yeah.
They
Get away with it.
So last year, my senior year, we won the state title in Pennsylvania, and last year was our 25th anniversary. So to be able to have, there were 18 guys that came down to PNC Park, that we had a reunion of sorts, and Ed came down. And when you talk about Ed, the passion that he has, when you talk about passion for the game, just student of the game, still at 80 some years old, still you can tell being around him, he loves the game of baseball, just continually learning, and just tremendous guy.
Do you remember any lessons from those days that still kind of hold true, truisms? I guess these are kind of basics now in baseball, any level in baseball, right? That you could learn from even a high school coach, of course.
Oh, no doubt.
Right?
Yeah, you're always learning, and especially at that age.
Yeah.
Like the one thing that I loved, and looking back now as a coach, that he did our senior year, he was very regimented, very disciplined and everything. But the one thing he did, he knew that team was special. And when we would practice, it was a coach pitch BP.
Love
But
it.
there was defense out there, right? You had to play the position that you were going to play the next game, the first 3 innings. That was the team's. The last 3 innings were ours. And you could play any position you wanted. You
Made it
guys were
fun.
taking their shirts off.
That's amazing.
Oh, it was freeing, you know, and
Oh,
guys,
man.
it freed guys up.
And what about the competitiveness of
Oh,
that?
competitiveness,
It's just
and you're
went off
playing,
charts.
yeah, and you're
So cool.
you're playing against each other in a competitive environment, practicing, but he allowed us to be ourselves too.
Well, that sounds like something that you take even to this day in spring training with the guys then. As you as bench coach, you set up these spring training drills, and you'll do that. You'll let these guys play just for fun, as you say, freeing.
No doubt. And the one thing that we've done a couple years, we didn't get to do it this past year because the timing, I don't know, the schedule was just kind of crazy.
It seemed quick.
It was
Yeah,
quick,
yeah.
and we didn't have back-to-back days at home. It was like it was every other day, and there was no, the rhythm was it was good for a sense of getting the guys there, but
Disjointed.
Yeah, disjointed a little bit. And we've had outfielders take infield and
Yeah.
infielders play
That
outfield.
must be a blast.
And
Love it.
guys just love getting to a different position, and kind of looking back at high school, that's where some of that comes from, is like guys like Ed that allowed us to experience different positions and freedom to just go out and play.
Well, if you've heard the whole like thing that's going viral right now is like, don't specialize in your sport. And I tell kids, you can not
You play all kinds of sports. you're
Yeah, yeah,
saying.
but that's kind of what you're doing when you're
same
playing
thing
all
there.
those different positions, right? When you can move guys around, you're making their bodies move differently. They have to feel things, and I absolutely love that because some kids just don't want to play basketball. They don't want to play football. They're in love with baseball, and I'm like, you can't take that away from that kid, but don't marry him to a position at 13. And that's what a coach like that, like you don't hear about that very often anymore. Most of the coaches now want to win now
Yeah.
at 13, 14, all the way through high school. That's so cool. The
It
fact
was.
you can
It was really
implement it
cool.
now too, it's cool. Really cool.
Why Point Park? How'd you end up
Ooh,
there?
great question, Brownie. So I had opportunities at Duquesne in West Virginia to be a recruited walk-on, or go to Point Park as a scholarship player and get to play as a freshman. And best decision that I ever made was going to Point Park.
Why do you say that?
I wouldn't be sitting here right now.
Really?
I
Wow,
can
that's
guarantee
powerful.
you. Because to get there as a freshman and be able to play as a freshman and go to a place that I wasn't fully developed, a place that allowed me to grow, rather than going to a D1 school and sitting the bench until junior, senior year, going to Point Park, getting to play, building confidence, and developing myself physically, but also as a person, was the best thing that ever
And
happened.
what was that process? Like, take us through your freshman, sophomore, junior
Oof.
year, and kind of how that kind of manifested. Because you're 6'1" going in, I'm guessing.
Yeah, I was 6'1", I grew a little bit at Point Park. Maybe I was probably 6'2"-ish, 6'3" by the time I got there. Was 170 pounds, soaking wet. Like
It's a beanpole.
Yeah, so
Yeah.
I had never really lifted before. So to get to a place where started working out, started lifting, started maturing, and playing as a freshman. I played third base my freshman year, and then switched over to shortstop my sophomore and junior year. And
Big
after
shortstop, man.
6'4", yeah, it was.
That's too low.
Yeah, I wasn't as good as Tulo.
Not many are.
I thought you were going to
Not
compare
many
to
are.
O'Neill.
Oh man,
Cruz. So,
Yeah, you need more stilts.
tall
Yeah.
shortstops.
Yeah.
Yeah, so after my sophomore year, I got the opportunity to go down to Petersburg, Virginia, and play in the Coastal Plain League, and that was really
What year was that?
I was there in 2000.
Okay. I played there in 05.
Who'd you
Huh.
play for?
The Swamp Dogs.
Wow.
Which was that Fayetteville?
Fayetteville. Yeah. I think it collapsed recently.
Did it? Yeah,
Yeah.
I don't think
Yeah,
it's.
the coach owned the team, him and his dad, and I think it just collapsed recently.
That doesn't get as
Unfortunately.
much attention as the other leagues.
no,
So-
it's kind of like
Yeah.
behind Cape Cod,
Yeah.
maybe north. Is it North Woods?
It's
or
North Woods,
Northwoods.
Coastal Plains.
Yeah.
Coastal
Yeah.
Plains, you play as many games. It's just the travel's not as bad.
Mm.
That North Woods is no joke.
Is it?
Yeah, like 13, 14-hour bus trips everywhere you go. It's
Wow,
awful.
that's
Yeah.
crazy.
So, Donnie, is that what stepped things up for you in terms of your development and when, I guess, the Tigers took notice?
Yeah, so I think it was going into. So I went down to Coastal Plain League in Petersburg, had a good showing down there, came back, and Mike Wilson was the head coach at Duquesne at the time, and Josh's dad, and he ended up having a scout day, which was awesome. Duquesne, and then we followed Point Park after they were done, and that was like the time that everything jump started and started to kind of get recognized as a NAI player.
What was the draft like for you and the Tigers select you?
Oh, it was
How
crazy.
big a day was that?
Well,
Where were you?
I was at home.
Okay.
And back in the day, I don't know how it was when you got drafted
This
for
is
it.
2001, right?
This was
Detroit,
01.
8th rounder.
And it was
Tigers.
all on the computer. And you were listening
yeah.
for
that's
there was
No
crazy.
MLB network.
Yeah, no MLB network,
yeah.
no big thing.
Kind of over
and
the
you're-
phone type deal.
Yeah, and they said that you'll probably get a call 20 minutes before.
Yeah.
I never got the call. We heard it on the computer before I got the phone
Oh,
call.
man.
From,
Same.
Did
Same.
you really?
Yep.
Yeah, it was wild. So like to hear your name called that you're drafted was it was really awesome.
Then who called you? Who?
Oh my god!
Remember who the person was?
You know what? I don't. I think
wasn't-
it was Lou Laszlo was the
Okay.
guy that scouted me.
I think it was Dan Lunetta involved at the
Lou
Tiger
Netta was
vet
there
there.
at the time.
So the Tigers draft you. Were you bummed out at all? Were you thinking the Pirates maybe?
I did. So I don't know if you remember a guy named Elmer Gray.
Oh yeah, legendary.
So legend scout.
Yeah.
And I knew Elmer had scouted me, and I knew that he had turned me in. So I thought there maybe was a chance with the Pirates, but ended up going to Detroit.
Go to the Tigers, and now this sets the stage for your development in so many ways, I would think, because you number of minor league cities before you make it. You don't make it to the big leagues with the Tigers. You end up signing with the
Yeah.
Pirates after a handful of years in Detroit's system.
And that jump. So NAIA, Coastal Plains, obviously you're playing a little bit better competition consistently. Did that prepare you for what you were going to face in rookie ball and short season and as you went forward? Because, like, it's a big difference because, like, I remember them saying, you know, when you get into pro ball, you're going to face Friday night guys every day.
Yeah.
And then as you move up, it's the best Friday night guy.
Yeah.
As you move
It's
up.
crazy,
But for
isn't
you,
it?
like, right, you're running into good competition in NAIA, but you may face a guy every other time, right? I was in a mid-major, and, you know, most of the Friday night guys were drafted or maybe a closer or two, but, like, I never saw that Saturday guy that you just feasted on. How was that adjustment for you?
Yeah, really good question. And I think that, you know, as coming from Point Park, where we played our home games in Butler at Pullman Park, so it was an hour drive to play our home games. We used to practice underneath the Bloomfield Bridge.
So you have the grit, that's for
Unreal.
sure.
Oh,
So
yeah.
the Yinzer was in it.
That's where that, like, you know, you talk about love for the game. We're hitting wiffle balls on the wharf,
Yeah.
Yes!
fishing
Oh,
them
yeah.
out of the river. And I go to Oneonta, and here we've got batting cages, and, you know, I'm looking at it
What
like,
an
holy crap, this
experience
is
this is.
unbelievable.
He's a legend. Yeah, yeah.
Taj
That's
Mahal.
legendary,
You know,
yeah.
some of the Friday night guys are coming in, and they're like, oh man, this is not North Carolina or Texas
really
or
cool look at
Vandy,
it. Yeah.
you know, and so to have that perspective going into it and get to face those guys, you know, yeah, it was difficult, it was challenging, but that's what we live for.
No doubt.
You know,
No doubt.
that's
I
what we
love
live
that.
for. And when you go in there and you get that opportunity to face those guys, like, I'll never forget, we were going back to Coastal Plain League, and we faced a guy named Bubby Buzzacaro. And
What a
he
great
was
name.
undefeated.
Oh my gosh,
Made it to the
kidding
big
me?
leagues with Atlanta.
Really?
Yeah, really good pitcher, especially, I forget where he went, North Carolina Wesleyan or something like that.
Okay.
But he had never lost in the Coastal Plain League before. He was undefeated.
Wow.
And we go out to face him, and I'll never forget our coach. He's like, hey, in order to be the best, you got to beat the best. And we went out and beat the guy for the first
Oh,
time.
wow.
And it was just like having that experience of, like, then the confidence starts to build from,
Yeah.
like you said, Coastal Plain League. Then you get in, you start facing some of these really good pitchers every night. You start to prove to yourself, hey, I can do this.
Yeah. So cool. Love
And
that.
you're playing at Oneonta, right? So is that where you met Mike Rebello for the first time?
Yeah.
That's the low level of the Tigers system, and Mike Rebello then becomes a coach for the Pirates.
Coach for the Pirates, yeah.
Thanks to you, I guess.
Well,
or vice versa.
I don't know about thanks to me, but we were teammates, and when when I got hired, we were talking about people to bring in, good baseball people, and Rabs is
He's awesome.
really, really good baseball person, and nobody better to get into the system. But yes, we were drafted the same year,
That year.
teammates.
So, were you teammates throughout the levels? Or
No, so Rabs, we first year in Oneonta, second year in West Michigan, and then missed like a couple years, and then we got back together in, I think, 05.
by the way, you know, I think he struck out 16 times all year that first year at Oneonta. Maybe that's too many.
Is that what it was?
16 times all. And you had some
Wow.
kind of crazy record at Point Park. What was
Yeah,
your philosophy was always put the ball
I
in
want to hear
play.
those numbers
Yeah.
at Point Park too. By the way,
What's
I know you
crazy?
got them.
Crazy numbers.
What is it?
I want to hear those
His
numbers.
numbers at Point Park are crazy.
I only know one of them, and the only reason I know this is I just ran into the guy that really taught me how to hit. That was instrumental. There were two guys. One was Al LeBerry, who is he's a hitting coach still in Carnegie, PA. If you ever get a chance, swing by his place. It is phenomenal. You talk about like the Rocky training gym.
Oh, it's my favorite.
Oh,
yes.
man, you got to go.
I got to go.
You got to check him out because it is like.
Write down the address. I'll show up.
It's a one room. You would consider it a hole in the wall type place, but he just breeds.
He's your Mickey.
He's the guy.
Yeah.
You know?
Come on, Rock. Yeah.
So,
Come on, Donnie.
if you get down there. So the other day, my two oldest, Brett and Luke, we ended up popping in to say hi to him just out of the blue.
I love it.
And he started talking to the kids, and he was like telling them this story about when I was at Point Park and I was going to get drafted, and I only struck out 4 times the whole year. In 100
That's
sophomore
so
year.
dumb.
Is it? Do you have it?
158 at bats. Well, first of all, in 3 years at Point Park, he struck out 20 times in 3 years. 3 years. His OPS, first year, freshman year, 978. Next year, 1,059. Final season, Point Park, 1,092.
Whoopsies.
20 total strikeouts.
But I didn't hit for power, and I think that's who I was at the time. I never really became a power hitter, but I think when you look at development of hitters,
1,000. I'm
to
glad you're going this way. Yeah.
to have that approach going in of bat control the zone, opposite field approach, and then learn as I grew up and developed how to pull the ball and how to drive the ball. At Point Park, I didn't drive the ball much. I was on base, steal bases, score runs, do that.
But you always have something to fall back on.
Yes.
I love guys that can control the barrel because you can teach, quote unquote, whether it's in the weight room or whatever else, power. Power comes. If you're making consistent contact, good things are going to happen.
Yeah, I agree.
That's awesome.
Were you ever frustrated, Donnie, 6 years in the Tigers minor league system? Any frustrations that you didn't get an opportunity to play in the big leagues with Detroit at that time, that first go-round?
Really good question, but I did. So they put me on the 40-man roster going into 04, and I ended up getting hurt, which in hindsight was one of the best things that ever happened to me because
Why is that?
So it led me to, there was a guy that was training me here, Steve Aramis. He's still around. He's at AmeriFit in Mount Lebanon, and I'm actually taking my boys there now.
Jeez.
He's training my boys. But he was the one that was instrumental in figuring out what was going on. Took me to a PT up in Adrian, Michigan named Gary Gray. They figured out that the shoulder problem that I was having was really a problem in my left hip because of
God.
the
The
cross
connection,
dominance.
Yep.
And
You're speaking my language.
ended up helping me gain more power as a hitter.
Jeez.
Because you're moving better.
Now I'm moving better. I'm using my legs. So if I didn't get hurt, I don't know if we would have figured that out. But had a terrible year. They took me off the 40-man. Went back in 05, had another really good year. They put me back on the 40-man after 05, going into 06, and I was terrible.
Really?
Terrible. So here's a kid from Mount Lebanon, and I hate to jump on any questions you have,
No,
but I think
this
this will lead into it.
No.
Here's a kid from Mount Lebanon that grew up trick-or-treating at Jim Leland's house.
That's crazy.
So I swear, he gave out the big candy bars.
No,
so
I thought you were
not
saying
gonna-
the worst candy, like the worst.
Please
No,
say yes.
I don't think
Hey,
I
well,
ever
what do you want?
saw
What do you want?
Jim.
What's your name? Hey, Katie, hey, kids at the door. Go. You
So
never saw Leland, you saw Katie.
Just saw Katie, yeah. Boom. And so we used to make sure we hit Leland's house because he gave the big candy bars. Well, here now, Tigers put me on the 40-man, and they hire Jim Leland
so you're
as the manager.
stoked.
Stoked and scared to death.
Yeah, did you want the big candy bar too?
I asked him first day. But so to have Leland as my manager, and here's another good story from Jim. I'm sitting there in spring training, getting ready for a game. We're playing the Yankees. And Leland walks by my locker. I'm just sitting there. He goes, Kelly playing shortstop today, batting third against the Yankees on ESPN. Don't shit your pants. Dude. First ground ball right through my legs.
No way.
You got it out of the way. That's
That's perfect. And literally, yeah, it was bad.
Literally
shit my pants.
But just a little bit.
Unreal,
Just a
man.
little bit.
But you keep
gotta
going.
be
I get
kidding
it.
me.
So yeah, and then I made that mistake, and then I played scared from then on. I was just
spring training
yes,
that year.
because I was supposed to make the team, but I played so bad.
You played on your heels.
I did.
Yeah.
I was playing defensive. I was playing not to make an error. I was playing not to strike out. I was playing not. And through that time in my career, I learned. I got sent back to AA that year, and I became like, I guess the thing that was going through my mind is: are we playing a game of do's or are we playing a game of don'ts?
Ooh.
And mentally, as I started to go, it's like, okay, if I'm going to make it to the big leagues, I got to change this from playing not to screw up to playing aggressive, to play the game of baseball, to have fun, to go out there and, do things the right way, play free like I did in high school. And if I wouldn't have gone through that, I don't think I would have learned that.
So what was that year like then? That last year in the minors
with the Tigers?
Yeah,
it was hell. I mean,
but you're
I didn't
you're
learn
freed
it until
up.
I didn't learn it until the end of that year. When I was freed up was when I came to Pittsburgh.
Oh wow, okay.
Does that make sense?
Yeah.
So
You think you freed up because you kind of got out of where the don'ts were? Is that what it was?
Got away from that.
Got away from that mindset of not screwing up to going out and playing the game, and then it led into the Tigers took me off the 40-man, and I mean that off season was wild because the Tigers took me off the 40-man in the beginning of September. Carrie and I were dating at the time. We were engaged to get married. I ended up going back. I re-enrolled at school at Point Park to go back
Did
to
not know
do it.
that.
I had a bad accident. I got burned on my hand. Had ended up.
He saved somebody from a house fire.
Yeah, well, yeah.
Wait a second.
Carrie and I.
Wow.
What happened?
We had a little fire at the house.
A little fire at the
and
house?
had
Just a little fire?
We had some,
Burned my hand.
It was
The dawn.
It was a grease fire.
Jeez.
This was rougher than the fault that I went into to
Yeah,
get the tobacco.
yeah. Well, that's where you learn your lesson, how to get into the fault to get these
Sneaky,
cigars.
yeah.
So anyway, long story short, the off season was unbelievable. I ended up graduating school, got married, signed with the Pirates, and then made the team in spring training coming out of
Talk about a good year.
So to go from playing the year
Holy
before
cow.
not to screw up to, and learning through that, the mindset of staying aggressive, playing free, understanding, what that takes and how that's not the way to go. And then to be able to change that going into 2007 with the Buccos was.
Do you think all that kind of gave you a perspective?
A
Like
lot.
what you're capable of? Like you graduate, you get married, you burn your hand, and yet you're still going to camp?
Still going, yeah.
Well, no, wait a minute, Don. You burn your hand before you're signed with a club yet.
I did.
Whoa.
They didn't know. Did they know?
Ouch, literally.
I don't know if they did.
Oh, of course they didn't.
There's
No,
weird
come on.
things that
You can say it
happen.
now.
Weird
Like
things
a
that happen,
statute of
Brownie, in the
limitations. It's worn
offseason.
out. This is the point about the hold my cutter.
Hey.
There's the stories that come out later.
Yeah, he could
the
have
whole
played.
point.
He would have been fine.
That's good.
He could have played.
I came in 100% in spring training.
Yeah.
So
ready
They
to
didn't
roll.
know.
who made the call from the Pirates?
To sign me?
Yeah.
It was through John Mercurio.
Oh, it was Merck.
Yeah.
So,
and,
what if
Littlefield-
Merck? I can't
Littlefield
wait
was
to
the
talk to
GM.
Merck about this. Did you ever know? Oh, he'll say, yeah, I knew all along.
I
Yeah,
knew.
sure, yeah.
Hey, Merck's got some good stories.
Oh, yeah.
Too.
The same guy that, how about that? Merck signed Neil Walker, too.
Wow. Pretty good.
So you
sign
end
of
up-
talent, huh?
Were there other options, too, besides the Pirates?
To sign that offseason?
Yeah.
I can't remember that offseason.
I mean, as
but
soon
it
as you
didn't
got the call
matter.
from them, you're going,
yeah,
right?
As soon as the Pirates called.
What was that like to think, I'm going to now play with the Pirates
It was
organization?
Yeah, I was so excited.
And your manager, the Pirates, is spring training. It's unbelievable.
Jim.
It's Donnie Kelly, man. We love Donnie. Jim Tracy. I love this guy, man. He can play all the positions.
I played for Jim
Tracy?
Tracy too. Yeah.
Did you?
Yeah.
So what
He's
was
great.
so spring training now? You have a good spring, obviously, because you made the club, right?
I did, yeah. A lot of things had to happen. Freddie Sanchez got hurt, and then we had signed a guy named Nick Green from Atlanta.
Mick Green. Nick Green.
Nick
I
Green,
remember
and
Nick
he
Green.
got hurt in spring training. So it gave me an opportunity to play.
What a trivia
And I
question
played
that is.
second base a lot, a little bit of shortstop, and played well enough to make the club.
And your first big league. By the way, you are one of only 3 Point Parkers, pioneers, to make the big leagues, right?
Yeah, I
John
believe so.
Stuper, the pitcher, and
Bobby Madrish.
Bobby Madrish. And you say he played for Seattle.
Yeah, Seattle and I believe Cincinnati.
Okay.
Or maybe drafted by Seattle, played for Cincinnati, something.
But he made the
along those
big leagues.
lines,
So you and the other 2. And what was the first game like? I think you pinch hit opening day down in Houston, right? April 2nd, 2007. How
You
about
got
this?
it.
Michael McKenry loves these ties. 10-inning, 4-2 Pirate win. Jason Bay, it's the home run. Jason Bay is the only other Pirate to win Rookie of the Year before
Paul
Paul
Skeens.
Skeens.
No way.
And the winning pitcher in that game,
Who was it?
Matt Capps.
Oh,
How
Wow,
about
full
that?
circle.
But you pinch hit for Damaso Marte in the 9th inning, and your first big league pitcher was
Brad Lidge.
Brad Lidge. Hello.
Yikes. Slider's real, huh?
Oh, he was filthy.
That was right in the middle of his prime, too.
Unbelievable.
A couple days later, you get your first base hit, and it's a pinch hit.
Pinch hit.
In the second inning.
So that game.
Wait. Second inning?
For Zach Duke.
For Zach Duke. And that game was against the San Francisco Giants. Barry Bonds hit 2 home runs in that game at PNC Park. And to, again, being a kid from Pittsburgh, getting my first hit in the game,
Oh, that was
a
cool.
guy
That was
Man
down. It's all right. That's a don't.
That's a don't.
Yeah, that's a don't.
That's another don't. So, how cool was that to have that be your first?
Stunk
right?
losing. Felt bad for Zach.
Yeah.
But just Barry, he was unbelievable.
And your first hit off of?
Russ Ortiz.
Yep.
Oh, nice.
Pretty good stuff.
Yeah.
You're watching Barry Bonds. How surreal is that?
Surreal. I mean, unbelievable.
He's not watching. He's playing against.
Well, he
It's a
certainly
different animal. You watch him growing up. Now
Yeah.
he's like right there. That's so cool.
So
He's
you
not
didn't
mythical.
you didn't get much playing time. 25 games total for the Pirates.
Yeah.
Back to the minors.
Back to the minors, and again, going back to learning, being an everyday player in the minor leagues, getting up to the Pirates, and being in a utility role, not getting to play
So
every day.
hard.
It is. And you know what? Falling back into that negativity, you sit there and you wonder, okay, what do they expect me to do? I'm not getting an opportunity. They expect me to go out and play, and it becomes this negative type of thing. And what I learned that year is our brain doesn't have a switch in it that can go from negative, complaining, feeling sorry for ourselves, and then you get an opportunity, and now, we got to flip it on and be positive and go and compete and play.
Well said.
You got to try as hard as it is, even being in that role, to flip that switch to be in that aggressive, positive mindset, because you never know when you're going to get that opportunity to play.
What'd you tell yourself? Like, how did you?
In that moment,
it sounds easy, but it's really
in
hard.
that moment, I was not good. I think it was reflecting on the year after 2007, being in Arizona, applying some of the things that I learned through the minor leagues of the don't type of mentality. But then when I got the opportunity in Detroit, is, okay, I can't control if I'm in the lineup, when I get to play, what's going on. I just have to be ready.
Yeah.
And what is it going to take for me to be ready whenever Leland at the time needs me to be ready?
What was it? What was you being ready? How would you define that?
It changed, it evolved, and I'm sure you dealt with the same stuff, when you're not getting that opportunity to play every day. What are some things you can go to? Can you stand in on a bullpen? Can you do velo machine? What are the things that you can go to that can help you stay prepared? As a guy that played a lot of different positions, I had to take ground balls at third. If I felt ready at third base, I was good everywhere else.
You're one of the first I've heard that. Most guys say, they need to make throws.
Yeah.
But most of the time they say shortstop.
Yeah, I had to be ready at third.
Isn't that interesting?
That's
Wonder why
cool.
that is.
Speed.
Oh,
The
speed
hot
of the game.
corner.
Wow.
If
That makes sense.
At shortstop, I felt like, and I didn't play short all that much. I knew that, like, if I was going to go in, it was probably going to be third, maybe second, outfield. So the hardest one for me was third base.
So the timing of the game was
Speed of the
important
game,
there.
yeah.
Wow.
Well,
That's so cool.
so now you go back to the minor leagues, and you end up playing in the minor leagues at Indianapolis with Andrew McCutchen and Neil Walker,
And,
right?
Yeah.
How cool is that?
Unbelievable.
That team was probably pretty good.
It was pretty good. We had Bixler, Steve Pierce,
Oh.
just awesome team. Neil and I got to play. I played short. He played third. He was
Wow.
playing third base at the time. So we shared the left side of the infield in
That's cool.
AAA at Indy.
How did you end
Wow.
up meeting Kerry, by the way? Is it through his brother Matt?
No. It's funny you ask. So
He swept off. I mean, obviously.
Yeah.
He just came in. Whoop.
Yeah.
It was a do immediately.
Yep.
no.
Very aggressive there.
Yep.
So when my sister and my wife played basketball, and they played on the same AAU team in high school, and then they ended up going to the NEC conference. My wife, Carrie, went to Wagner. My sister, Ashley, went to Quinnipiac. And I caught up to Matt in 2003 in AA. He played for the Tigers as well. And I caught up to him in AA and still hadn't met Carrie. Didn't know
Holy
Carrie.
cow.
I go to watch my sister play her senior year at Quinnipiac and followed her down through
This is
Wagner.
what year?
This is 04.
Okay.
And ended up meeting Carrie after the game after Quinnipiac played Wagner in
Wow.
basketball. So everyone thinks it's through baseball, but it was actually
Through basketball.
through basketball that we ended up
And through
meeting.
your sister, essentially,
Yes.
Wow.
yeah. So you spend that 1 year at Indy, And then what happens after that season?
In Indy,
After the 1 year of the Pirates
I
organization.
signed with the Arizona Diamondbacks for 1 year.
Okay, and what happened there?
AAA the whole year, but I did going there.
More
met
lessons?
up with the guy. Yeah, I met up with the guy Joel Youngblood.
Jeez, yeah.
Who was phenomenal.
Long-time big leaguer.
Yeah, long-time big leaguer.
Played
Taught
a
me
number of
a lot
positions.
about how to hit. Different drills, different things. It got me to feel some different things, and ended up then played the full year there in AAA. Signed back with the Tigers in 2009, and then ended up getting up that year a little bit, and then was with them from 2009 through 2014.
Do you assume? I'm sorry.
No, go ahead.
I was just going to say, do you assume that it was Leland who brought you back? He was your sponsor to come back to Detroit?
You know what?
Leland loves you type of players.
He
loves
did.
you and Wehner.
Well, he's that type of
and
player
Craig
as a manager.
Counsell.
Like, he's gritty.
Yeah.
Yeah, so he wants his gritty players, which I
So
love.
the guy that called me to come back was Glenn Ezel. He was the minor league director. And going back to your question about like opportunity and everything, like I was kind of hesitant at first because I didn't know what kind of opportunity I was going to get signing back over there. Wasn't sure. And I really had never talked to Leland about going back that year until I had signed back. But I went back a different player and a different person too. I was more confident. I'd learned a lot going back into that situation, and playing in the playoffs yourself, you learn like
It's different.
it's different. And when you go through baseball, right, in spring training, you're competing to make a team, right? You feel that coming down to the end, you don't know what's going to happen. Every at bat matters big time. You're feeling that pressure. These things that you go through, then you get your first big league at bat, and you feel that pressure. Then you go, somebody's coming off the DL or IL, and you might get sent down. Somebody's got to get sent down, and you start to feel that pressure. All these things add up that prepare you for.
You can't take them away.
You can't take it away, and it prepares you for
No.
the pressure you're going to face in a pennant chase and in the playoffs. If you can't handle it in spring training, and you can't handle it, when there needs to be a move made, how are you going to be able to handle it whenever there's 45,000 people, 57,000 at Dodger Stadium screaming, and all the pressure is on?
When you signed back to Detroit, did you feel like you had like something to prove or unfinished business? So
A lot.
when I went back to Colorado, when they called, I turned down 3 big league deals, and I went to Colorado because
You want to prove to them.
No, I think it was prove it to me.
Prove it to
Well,
yourself.
okay.
That's
like
really cool.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And I was thinking the same thing when you were asking that question. Like, is that kind of there, especially when you showed up? Because when I showed up, I was like, yep, I made the right choice. My family thought I was nuts. I was turning down like guaranteed money to go sign a minor league deal because I was like, nope, this is where I need to be. And it was the best opportunity for me to stick possibly for multiple years. But I wanted to ask you that because, we have some similarities when it comes to kind of bouncing all over the place and figuring it out as you go. Because it had to feel good.
It did, and it is. It's like when you make that decision to go back, and like I had failed. The last time I was there was 2006, and I played so bad. And to go back into that situation, knowing that the last time I was here, I was really, really bad. But I'm going to prove it. I'm going to prove it to myself, and I'm going to prove it to them. I can do this. I can play at this level.
Yeah, so cool.
Well, it really must make you appreciate players like you then, and really appreciate how tough it is to succeed in the big leagues. And we as fans, especially higher drafted players, but just about anybody, when they get to the major leagues, we want success now.
Yeah.
Well, and I don't think there's a better example of this than Jared Triolo this year.
Yeah. Congratulations, by the way. It's got to be a great feeling
incredible.
for you, too.
Well, not for, dude,
a Gold Glover, utility player.
I mean, that's all.
Yeah, but it's the work that you helped put in. I mean, it's his, but you got to feel so great as a coach.
I feel great for him because when you look at his season,
it was tough.
It was really
You could see it in his eyes.
Dude. And like the way that he worked, the teammate that he was, the work that he put in. Offensively, he starts off as the starting second baseman. Struggles, doesn't hit real well, goes to the bench, stays ready every single day, and he booted, I believe, you can correct me if I'm wrong, I think it was the first ground ball that was hit to him this year.
Wow.
And then he didn't make another error until, I don't even know when, like July, August.
Yeah,
I don't
it was
even
a
know.
long time.
It was a long time.
Bouncing around
To different positions now, and then to continue to work offensively to come on strong the last 45 days of the year and get his average up, get everything up. I don't even know what he hit, maybe 750 OPS those last 45 days.
The last 45 days, he was better than average.
He was better than average, you know, and to how many guys do we see?
Because of his defense makes him a glorified great player.
Great player.
Yeah.
You know, and how many guys do we see that play the game that when they're not hitting, they don't play defense?
Right.
You know, and it goes down. It's a mind. They're just struggling and whatever. He was the same guy every day, worked his butt off. Like, and for him to be rewarded with a gold glove at the end, it's just.
It won't be his last.
No, it was awesome.
So no doubt that your experience bouncing around at the major league level helps in a big way when you're coaching these players to do the same thing.
Can I speak on that real quick? You're invaluable to them. And that's from them talking to me. You know, like, you're invaluable because, you know, Jack Wilson taught me this, and I learned this at a USA event. I was his assistant coach, and he said, you'll be their favorite. And I didn't know what that really meant until this year when I got to manage for the 18U at trials. And I had to discipline players. I had to get on to players, and I wasn't the favorite. And I watched my assistant coach kind of fill the gaps, and I said the same thing to him that Jack said to me. But there's some incredible connection you can have, especially with what you've been through with those guys, and you can see it. I get to watch it, you know, over at Sportsnet all the time. When you're teaching them throughout the game and they have your trust, but they're coming to you, you're not having to come to them. That's when you know greatness of a coach is there. When a guy's coming to you, it shows that, man, not only does that guy respect you, he wants to know, how can I do better? And I saw that all year this year, you know, with guys, and there was a lot of movement in the infield, you know, but it wasn't just the infielders. There's multiple guys, even the older guys coming to you. And that's just something I wanted to share for our fans, because that's not normal, Brownie.
Right.
And you know that. Like, it takes a lot to earn their trust. And once you do, you got to kind of hold on to it kind of very gently and allow them to do it. And you do a great job of that.
Well, I appreciate that. I think that, you know, looking back on when we talk about our playing career and the ups and downs, and not just baseball, but life, like, you don't learn a ton through success.
Yeah.
No.
You know, you learn a ton through failure and things that maybe you didn't do real well. And now being a parent, trying to pass that on to my boys of like, hey, when I try to coach you, when I try to discipline and teach and coach and do everything, it's because I care about you. And I don't want you, if I can help you not make the same mistakes that I did, or you're going to, but how can I help you through that? How can I help your mindset? How can I help you try to stay level? Because as you know, that roller coaster that the players are going to be on, they're always going to be on it. So how do we stay level to try to keep those dips and the peaks, keep that down too? Because, you know, the worst thing in this game is when you start to feel too good about yourself, and now you get up there because you know it's coming.
Exactly.
It's going to happen the next day.
Yeah, exactly.
The problem is, I guess a problem, but there's extra pressure on players and the team in this town because they want instant success, because they want this team to win so badly. So it's multiplied, that pressure, because fans don't want, you know, he's failing, but he's going to, in the end, he's going to be better for it. Well, you know, they take the person out of it as a fan. They don't want to hear that. So there's that extra pressure, I think, on Pirate players. And
you know what? It's in my opinion, it's not just isolated to Pittsburgh. It's the big leagues.
Yeah.
You know, like it's and there should be. You know, like there should be pressure. You know, I often get chills thinking about this. You guys remember Pedro Gomez?
Of course.
So I mean, awful what happened when he passed away. But we were ESPN baseball reporter. And so 2012, we were playing the A's in the playoffs. And Carrie and I went to Morton's across the street from the hotel just to grab like a appetizer or something. And we're just in there, and Pedro Gomez is in there. And he ends up coming over and talking and saying hi. And I'll never forget what he said. It was the first time I'd ever heard it. But he's like, hey, tomorrow when you're out there, remember, pressure is a privilege.
Amen.
And, like, what a nugget of, you know, we
wisdom.
Put that pressure on ourselves, and there should be in the big leagues. There's pressure to compete. There's pressure to succeed and produce and win, and you're going to feel that. But it goes back to what we were talking about, spring training, first at bat. You know, you feel that pressure. The first time you get sent down, you want to be in the big leagues. how do you manage that? How do you continue to work through it, continue to calm yourself down, slow your heartbeat down, slow your mind down, to be able to stay competitive and stay aggressive in those moments where, and I know that you felt it, and Brownie, I'm sure even announcing when you first
Well, you do.
got,
I mean, we talk about you still
like,
do when the big games, you still feel it.
You feel it.
And no doubt, the minute, I don't know if you felt this now as a broadcaster for it, but the minute you start feeling real good about what you just did on the air the night before, the next day it's a guarantee you're going to butcher the English language like you've never butchered it. You're fumbling and bumbling, and that's why you got to stay level-headed throughout, whether you're on the field or looking at the game or talking about the game.
But you can always learn from it, right?
Yeah.
No matter what.
Yeah, that's right.
It's the
Yeah,
coolest
you always
part.
do. Speaking, though, of pressure, so you end up playing in the postseason 4 straight years with the Tigers, 11, 12, 13, and 14. The 2012 World Series you play against the Giants, you helped the Tigers get, in both instances, to those big games. 2011, well, I should ask you first, your single greatest moment. Is it the 2011 ALDS?
Yes.
Game 5?
Yeah.
At Yankee Stadium.
Yeah.
Leland bats you second, and you're playing third base. I didn't go back and look at the other box scores. Was that unusual? Did you start every game that?
No.
You did not?
I didn't.
I mean, say some of your teammates.
On that team?
That team was really, really good.
Oh, it was really good.
Yeah.
Miguel Cabrera, Victor Martinez, Scherzer, Verlander, Porcello, Pfister.
Fielder.
He wasn't there yet.
He wasn't there? Oh, okay.
Because the next year is when Victor tore his ACL and we signed Prince, so he came in 2012. 2011, Alex Avila, Brandon Inge, Maglio Ordonez.
I mean, come on.
Yeah.
So him batting second, I mean, that's a big deal.
Well, so
it's a great team.
When did you find out you'd be starting and that?
Really, really good question. So, game 4, we were up 2-1. I played right field in game 4, and we ended up losing that game. And after that game, I was in the elevator leaving with my dad and my father-in-law, and Gene Lamont gets on the elevator, and he asked.
He's the coach.
He was
for the
our
Tigers.
bench coach
Yep.
for the Tigers. He asked my dad and my father-in-law, "Are you guys going to New York for Game 5?" And they're like, "No, we took time off work. We can't get off work to go up there." And he's like, "Well, you might want to." He's playing third base, batting second, and my butthole just went.
Wait a minute. I mean, so that's how you found out?
Yeah.
At the hotel?
No, at the
ballpark.
Park.
At the ballpark.
Yeah.
His San Andreas fault closed.
Yeah. So at the ballpark, on the elevator, Lamont tells you and
my dad and
your father-in-law that you're playing. And did they?
I didn't sleep for 2 nights.
What a nonchalant way to
nights
tell
later
you
was
too.
Game 5.
Wow.
Yeah, we had that night, and then the next night, not playing. Well, we played that night, then we had a day off, and then we played the following night at Yankee Stadium, Game 5, and it was.
So you're batting second, 1 out, first inning. Ivan Nova, former Pirate pitcher. I think it's an 0-1 count if I'm not mistaken.
Don't throw that sinker.
Oh, there's a little curveball.
Oh, it was? You got
And
the
he
curve?
went down and got it.
And in.
And he crushed it.
You boogie whipped it?
Home run, yeah. I get chills thinking
How
about
good did it feel?
Unbelievable.
What's that feeling like?
You know what?
At Yankee Stadium,
At
Game
Yankee
5,
Stadium, Game
ALDS.
5. People have asked me about that before, and I said, you know what it was like? Because nobody really knew who I am. They know Miggy and all the superstars on our team, but here I am batting second. I hit a home run.
But guys like you win those series. It never
crazy,
fails.
Isn't it?
Yeah.
And so, like, it was like being the new kid at school and walking up to the bully and just popping him as hard as you can right in the nose.
Yeah.
You know, because
you're just in the yard. Bam! Take that, big dog. Yeah, I love it.
You know, being in Yankee Stadium, and then Delman Young, we went back to back.
Followed you with a home run, and you won by 1 run that game, 3-2 final. But thinking back to that at bat, can you take us through the whole thing? You're walking up to the plate, Yankee Stadium, place crazy, you know, and you talk about you didn't sleep for 2 days.
Yeah.
And what are you thinking when you get to that plate?
I don't even know. I blacked out.
Yeah.
Like, you're just.
I mean, you couldn't have. You said first inning, right?
Second batter of the game.
I mean, with those 68% sinkers, he throws a breaking ball.
Do you know what's wild about this? Do you know what the rest of the game for me looked like?
No.
I struck out 3 times.
No.
Yeah. Nobody talks about that because you hit the home run, right?
Yeah.
You know, and that, like, to me, it's the dichotomy of base. Like, dude, wow. And whether you have the 3 strikeouts first and you still have that 4th at bat, you still have an opportunity to do it.
Yep.
Right? And I hit the home run in the first. I didn't mean to strike out the next 3.
Yeah.
But it was the home run that was the big hit. And you never know in those games, in any game,
Amen.
what pitch is going to be the game winner. Not saying that home run was, but you always have an opportunity to do something to help the team win.
The Tigers go on to play the Rangers, I think, then in the ALCS, right?
Yeah.
Can't pull that out in 11.
No, we lost in 6 games down there.
But then you get another chance, and in Game 2 of the ALDS, 2012, you're playing Oakland. Now, if that moment wasn't enough for you, at Yankee Stadium to help win against the Yankees, now Game 2 of the ALDS, the Tigers are up 1-0. You're now in Detroit at Comerica against Oakland, and now you have a chance. You come to the plate to deliver the game-winning, and you do hit a fly ball to center field, sacrifice fly.
Yeah.
What was that like?
Well, you know what I love thinking about for that moment is what happened before, because that year we signed Prince, and I didn't have a good year. I hit 180, I don't even know, 170 something during the regular season. Got sent down to AAA. I got taken off the roster, sent to AAA in August, and then got recalled in September. Back up to put me back on the roster. So the ups and downs of baseball, going down, getting that moment, bases loaded. I pinch ran for Delman Young, ended up scoring the tying run in the 8th inning. And then when 9th inning came around, I think Omar Infante was on first. Miguel Cabrera got a base hit, and Omar went first to third. So Miggy's on first, Omar's on third. Prince Fielder's coming up with 1 out in the 9th inning. Are you going to pitch to Prince Fielder, or are you going to pitch to me?
Well, I don't know. I'd have thought about it. I'd look at some of the numbers
Bob
here.
Melvin didn't think too long. he walked Prince. He walked Prince right away. So, like, when you're going up to the plate in that moment, and you talk about feeling it, like feeling the pressure and feeling 45,000 people screaming.
Yeah, a long time to think about it, too, because they actually had to throw the 4 pitches then.
That's
yeah,
right.
They did.
Yeah.
You're right.
It's crazy.
So going up there and being able to come through and not getting the winning run, I mean, unbelievable.
And then you go on to play in the ALCS, this time against the Yankees, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, swept the Yankees.
What was that like?
Ooh.
Sweep the Yankees, and then you go to the World Series.
World Series, yeah.
Do you remember being introduced on the foul line at a World Series game?
Yeah, San Francisco first and then at home. I mean, that's what you play for as a kid. Like, when you're 5, 6 years old and you're in the backyard dreaming of that. And I'll tell you what, I got into a game in San Francisco, and that ball was, they hit a fly ball to me. That sucker was moving all over the place up there. It was not a normal fly ball.
Playing right?
Yeah, right field.
Man, gosh. And so a World Series, now it didn't work out in terms of winning the World Series, but just getting to the pinnacle and having that opportunity. As you say, that's what you dream about as a kid, that you play for. And now as a coach for the Pirates, and, Donnie and Michael and I talk about this all the time. And when we talk to fans who suggest, and more than one person has done it, that the Pirates ownership, people don't care about winning. I follow up right away and think, like, do you know how much you want as a fan the team to win? Do you know how much I want as an announcer the team to win? Do you know how much guys like Donnie Keller and the manager don't want? You don't think they want this team to win?
Oh, man.
That's why you're there.
That's it. That's the only reason. And trying to, so when you talk about that stuff, how do you continue to get better, even through the ups and downs? Like, yeah, last year was tough. It was a really hard year, and it was disappointing. I know for the fans, it was disappointing for us. The only way that it's a complete failure is if we don't learn something from it to apply.
Like your whole career.
Like next year when we're in it and we're fighting to do it, we have experience to draw on from last year. So forgive me for not knowing the exact timing of your career. What was the first year that you came?
11.
11. Dude, so you're there the whole time. 2011, Pirates get to August. They get swept by somebody in San Diego at home. Mm-hmm. And they were in it until August. And then
we got destroyed by San Diego at home.
At home. And the wheels fell off. They fell off August and September. 2012, make it to September. Wheels fall off. But it set the stage for 13, 14, and 15 for the team to win. And so the way that I was looking at it is, like, 2 years ago, we got to June and went to Chicago. Chicago lost 9 straight to those guys. It fell off in June. This year, we skipped July. We got to August. and face that tough stretch. So
Yep.
next year we'll skip September and go to October.
Jump in.
Well, I mean, I think something we don't talk about this year's team is how consistent you were almost through June. I don't think we lost 3 games in a row until sometime in July, right?
Yep.
How good we just never rattled off that 9-game winner, right?
Yeah.
But, obviously August happened, but, like, that's the thing is, like, you're going to learn from that, and the team just keeps getting better. But going back to his point, the Mitch Kellers of the world just don't happen. He failed and failed and failed. He didn't have the year he wanted. There's no doubt in my mind that man's going to be back and better. We're talking about Paul Skeens, we're talking about Jared Jones, we're talking about, the young bucks up and coming. But a guy like Mitch Keller could be the separator going into next year, because this guy will probably have an under 4 ERA and be a difference maker, because every time he's gone backwards, he takes 2 steps forward. And if you get a team like that, which I feel like we are, that's when it gets real special.
You're right. And like I'm sure we may get to this. I'm not sure.
Oh, yeah, we will.
Going. But after I was done playing, I got to scout. The coolest thing for me is I got to scout the Pirates.
That's
not
cool.
even knowing.
Who are you scouting for?
I was with the Tigers.
Okay.
So I got to scout the Pirates. So now I got to see Mitch Keller in AA dominate, like absolute dominate. And I'll never forget a game. I played with Michael Ryan in Indianapolis. He was the manager of the Altoona Curve that year. And they were in Harrisburg. Mitch is pitching, not having a great outing. But bases loaded, 2 outs in the 4th inning. And Michael Ryan goes out to mound. And I thought he was going to take him out. He didn't. He left them in. And bases loaded, 2 outs. He gets to a 3-2 count. And I'll never forget the curveball he threw this guy to strike him out. And it was one of those moments that you're like, wow, that's a dude right there.
It's in there. Yeah, it's in there.
That's a guy, And then I saw his last outing in AA that it was almost a no-hitter. I just happened to be there. And then I saw his first outing in AAA that he got absolutely shelled. And so, like, to your point, Mitch Keller has been through it. He's gone through those ups and downs. He gets to the big leagues. It wasn't all, linear straight up. Like, he's been through those ups and downs, and there's no doubt that he has that mettle to come back and be stronger and be that guy for us. He's like, his development has been unbelievable.
It's fun to watch. Fun to watch him grow in the big leagues.
Yeah, but that's what it takes. I mean, betting on those guys, like talking about Triolo and Keller and Reynolds, like nobody talks about 2020 with Reynolds. I know as an outlier, but that guy always hit. There's no way that year didn't make him 3 times better, because he didn't use COVID as an excuse. He used why did I hit below 200? Like, what happened? And he went home, he went to the drawing board and got better. And if you create a team like that, which I think the Pirates have done a great job of putting, the right guys in the right place. You have leaders, that are going to lead and people are going to follow. I mean, it gets special then, because that's what it was in 11, 12, and 13. You saw that come into life, but there's a lot of people that were in and out, like Matt Diaz when he was here in 11, the impact he had on the bench players. When, Jay Hayes coming up, I'm coming up, and we're trying to figure out, like, dude, I've played every day. I used to play 130 games a year. I'm playing every 3 to 5 days. And then I played 25 games almost in a row, and then Doman comes back and I'm sitting on the bench. And how to deal with that, but I have Matt Diaz, arm around me, loving on me. And those are the separators, and that's what guys like Donnie Keller, as he got older, guy comes up, you see it, put your arm around him, and you're seeing that on the bench this year. And some of those guys won't be on the team this next year, but that effect resonates throughout.
You're right.
No doubt about it. It is so much fun to have the Don with us, and our next episode we're going to hear about the pitcher, Don Kelly, the catcher, Don Kelly. A whole lot more to get to. And some of our guests here on Hold My Cutter receive gift cards for David Allen Clothing, featuring men's and women's custom suits and luxury casual wear. Located in Mount Lebanon, David Allen Clothing will work with you to build a custom wardrobe that is truly one of a kind. From celebrity actors and athletes to the young professionals, David Allen here for you. Don Kelly, the Don, here for us. Join us on our next podcast with Don Kelly on Hold My Cutter.